Every time I log on to my social media accounts, a lot of my readers would send me this question. It's how to be you, or to be specific, how to be you po. So this is such a funny thing to think about, but I guess it's easy to understand why if you base it on my social media accounts alone. So I am an artist and author and a creative entrepreneur. And most of my life is documented in well-curated photos on Instagram, artworks, works in progress, drawing every day, and posting it on social media. But the funny thing is, it got me thinking, why would anyone want to be me? They don't know what they're asking for. And if anything, the only reply that I could give is, it's impossible to be another me. And you know what? It's okay. It was only last year that I felt completely comfortable not having to conform to what society's expectations were. You know, when you are an artist, people think you have to look a certain way, or like be in all black and be all emo, or had to be a certain type of person. But I realized that this career that I have eventually built for myself, it's all self-directed. I don't have anyone to report to. I don't have a boss. I do my own work. I can only be the one to set the limits to what I can or can't do. And one of the main drivers that has led me to where I am today is passion. So passion is defined as something that you are excited or highly interested in, and eventually finding fulfillment in as you pursue it. So passion is such a big word. Like when you look online, people are all like, "Oh, pursue your passion. It's going to make your life like complete. Find your passion, etc., etc." Everyone has been really into this big word. And when I first gave my TEDx talk, I stressed on the importance of finding your passion at the right time. So timing is everything. And up to this day, I still believe in that saying or in that statement, because up until now, sure, art is my passion, but it's not only where it lies. I still want to do more than just art. And eventually, as you grow old, things really change, and some things just transpire over time. You can be passionate about so many things, and passion is something that you constantly improve on and fuel endlessly. It's not just, sorry guys, there's no math formula to like find your passion or when do you get it. And it's a trial and error thing. It's something you don't actively just wait for it to come to you. You have to seek ways to find it. And you can be passionate about so many things. It can be math, science, or it can be as specific as helping other people or discovering how things work. But I guess our uniqueness and personal preferences really define what we're passionate about and help us sort of have an umbrella to house everything together. As for me, I've always been passionate about art at a very young age. So when I first picked up my pencil at 5 years old, I started to draw. Every time there were children's parties, I wouldn't join games. I would be in the corner coloring. So that was one of the birthday parties I've attended before. And I didn't know why I liked drawing so much. I just knew that I'm an introvert by nature. I'm 90% introvert. So I didn't like talking to a lot of people. So I didn't know why I liked drawing. Was it because I could draw and I could just show people my world? I wasn't sure. But one thing that I told myself that I was sure of before was I would not take up a creative career. I would not pursue anything related to making art. I actually took up BS Advertising Management in college, and it's not related to art at all. It's more of making strategies, creating campaigns, and working in ad agencies. So eventually, I worked as a strategic planner. So my work schedule would be every day I go to work from 9 to 6 p.m. And then my work would include browsing Excel sheets, doing PowerPoint presentations, presenting to clients. And then when I went home at around 8 p.m. until 2 a.m., I would draw every night. I would draw, I would take photos, I would post on Instagram. I would have this alter ego, quote unquote, Abbey Sy at that time. And then people would share all my work, and I'm quote unquote famous on social media. So apparently, I didn't expect that I would build a world of my own. And it was, another thing, a plot twist is actually when I first gave my TEDx talk, a few weeks after, I filed my resignation letter because the TEDx talk that I gave before talked about how you should pursue your passion and be passionate about something. But I realized that if I didn't listen to my own voice, what was the point of giving a TEDx talk that didn't matter? So I guess you can say I'm living the dream right now, pursuing my passion at the same time, making art, and I've always been passionate about art, but right now I can say, I guess, it has expanded to not just making art, but really more of sharing it and inspiring others in the process. So this was during my second book launch last year for the ABCs of journaling. So by the way, ABC is Abbey Sy. That's where the nickname came about. So every time I go to these events, of course, as an introvert, I feel really shy. But at the same time, it's really nice seeing all these kids, seeing all these kids come to me and tell me, I feel really inspired by the work that you put out. And it's great to see how the creative community here in the Philippines is constantly growing and evolving. And I feel like I should always be, I feel like it's my responsibility to be like an achi to them and sort of guide them in their own creative journey. Now, another thing that a lot of people ask me is, with regards to their passion or with regards to making art, is how do I start or how do I continue? And the only way I can answer that is through this word, inspiration. So inspiration, as cliche as it sounds, it's everywhere. It's in the TV, it's on TV, it's on the books, it's in the books you read. It's literally everywhere. Anything that you consume is inspiring, and it's up to us to tune in to the most relevant bits and pieces of what can inspire you. Because when you take in so many things, you actually try to showcase it into how you interpret your inspiration. And you can be inspired about so many things. And the thing is, it's possible to be overstimulated or over-inspired. So, you know how you're exposed to so many things and then you just try to absorb everything, but at the same time, you feel very overwhelmed. So a trick is, of course, you have to learn how to filter it. So filtering inspiration is like filtering your coffee. You're separating what's good from the bad. It's important to filter it because when you feel overwhelmed with all these things that you're seeing around you, there's a tendency for you to not move forward. So as an artist, I feel like it's important to have some sort of limits to what I can do. And it's also important to be able to translate this in the best way that you can. So it has come to my conclusion that I'm highly inspired by many things, which I just realized recently. So Vincent van Gogh is my favorite artist, and apparently I love sunflowers. So he has this painting of sunflowers, which is kind of ironic. And then Harry Potter is my favorite series of books slash films. And apparently I have this thing for creating new worlds or like being immersed in new things. And then I love coming of age movies. That's my favorite film genre. And apparently I have a preference for reading anthologies and personal essays in terms of types of books that I read. So these are some things that really piqued my interest and at the same time reminded me that, hey, I'm actually inspired by all these things around me that really cultivate into the type of person that I am today. So when my friend Risa and I collaborated on this Harry Potter themed series of artworks, if you think about it, J.K. Rowling started Harry Potter. As artists, it's our task to sort of get something from it and sort of turn it into our own thing. So that's the whole concept of inspiration. So because everyone is very focused on, you know how when you get inspiration, sometimes it turns into copying, so that's actually not the same. And by doing this, we create a new world, a new way to communicate with other people. And that's such a rewarding thing to do because you're able to showcase to the world another way to look at things. And as people, we have our own perspectives and ideas, and these are all being used up once you get inspired and try to convert it into your own work. So it's also similar to how I do my books and create the content that comes with it. Sometimes I feel like, what's the point of being so inspired? Or why is it that my inspiration has to matter? But upon doing some of the publications that I've done, books that I've written, it gave me that sense of it gave me a reminder that my inspiration can actually come into this type of form. So I've been doing lettering since I was a young kid, since penmanship contests in St. Jude started. So I was I was class secretary also. And my mom would actually help me train for my penmanship in both calligraphy and in English penmanship. So I've been doing it for a really long time. And then when I got to the opportunity to write a book for lettering, I was really like, are you serious? Do you really think I can actually do it? But I guess when you're really passionate about something, it really reflects in your work. And that's something that I found very interesting, because when I was doing my second book, which is about journaling, which also started because, in school there's, I don't know which subject, but, journal writing. So you have to submit. So every time I submit mine, it's all very, I usually write a lot. So journaling has given me personally a gateway to express how I feel. And right now, it has become some sort of big trend. Like, people love writing about it, and it's a very therapeutic thing. So it's really interesting how all of these sort of reflect, and how inspiration can actually give other people their own inspiration to do what they want with it. So when I was working on my first magazine issue earlier this year, it was only then that I reminded myself how important it is for inspiration to be shared with other people. So inspiration, usually when you see something, you're all like, okay, I'm done with it. This is for me. I'm gonna close my cabinet. This is my filter. This is my sort of bank of ideas. But what's great about sharing it is not only you're being able to express it to other people, but at the same time, you're finding connections in some way. So, you know that feeling when you share something and people actually feel the same way. So that's priceless. And that's something that I realized when I started working on my magazine. So it was a dream of mine to do a magazine. So pretty surreal seeing it come to life. And when I finished doing it, I realized that your own inspiration and passion can also spark something in others. And that's something that I want to remind everyone, because it's not just about, making art and feeling inspired and trying to showcase it to the world. It's really more of creating and finding ways to be better at what you can do. And at the same time, a reminder that I'm going to leave with you guys is, when I was doing my magazine, I had this hashtag. It was called ABC Read Search. So people are asking me, what is read search? It's so weird. I said, actually, it's called read search because it's reading plus research. So I started to do that because I tried to look for inspiration that would fuel me to create the magazine and sort of express to people what I can with how my brain works. So eventually, once the magazine came out, it felt really rewarding to see that this read search sort of paid off. So every time now I post online, doing research, people are asking, so you're doing research already? So it's really interesting to have that sort of curiosity, because what I realize is when you are curious and you keep on learning things, you never stop. And that's something that I always want people to remember, because creating is not just, painting every day, making art, or doing things that inspire you. It's more of fueling yourself with so many of the beautiful things around you, turning it into your own, and sharing it to the world. Because at the end of the day, this life is really worth sharing to everyone. Thank you.